Hey guys, Tinder Drift, and we're back with another video. Today we'll be talking about what you should look for when you're trying to buy and snag one of these Ae92 GTSs. Now, if you're just tuning in and you want to see more content on Ae92s, 4AGEs, and even 4AFs, be sure to subscribe and we'll go ahead and get right into it. Now, the Ae92 GTS, this is what we got so far, and what we're going to be talking about is gonna go for SR5s as well, but this is more GTS focus really. But yeah, like I said, it can go for the SR5 as well. So the main things you want to look for the GTSs is the rust. So obviously this one's pretty bad. This is a really great example of how bad the rust can be. But for these GTSs, it tends to rust a lot under these side skirts. You know, basically under here at the rocker panels, they're all rotted out. And then over here at the rear end especially, they start to rust as well. Now, it's not as bad as my other GTS, but it is pretty bad. So they also tend to rust at these quarter panels, under the rear subframe by the trunk, basically where the rear bumper connects. And then over at this quarter panel, like I said, the same thing over here. So yeah, the rust is the main big concern for the GTSs. But other than that, when it comes to mechanical aspect, these GTSs, the only major flaws they usually have is a flex pipe tends to leak, which is what you hear right now. It's a little bit loud. The exhaust is complete. It's just leaking from the front flex pipe, and I think from the headers as well. But we'll go ahead and pop the hood, and I'll show you guys what else to look for. All right, guys, and yeah, overall, body rust, you just want to make sure there's not a lot of rust in the frame. You want to make sure front to back that it's sound and safe. You just don't want anything to compromise your safety. All right, if it's surface rust, you can live with it, you'll be fine, and you can repair it, but make sure there's no frame rust in the front or in the back. All right, now moving on to the mechanical aspect of this car. Now, the GTSs had the 4AGE, either a big port or a small port. In my case, I have a big port 4AGE, and you can tell because there's a TVIS emblem here, and the spark plug valley is a different design of it. There's other ways to identify it, but this is a quick way you guys can do that. All right, now these GTSs didn't have too many issues, but it is a GTS, and now the GTSs are usually more abused than the SR5s. All right, and they did come with their share of issues. They're similar to the SR5. All right, so these GTSs tend to leak in the front. All right, they tend to leak at the flex pipe because those always go bad, and then sometimes at the headers they tend to leak as well. All right, that's why there's so much noise in this engine bay. Another thing that you can expect for the GTSs is with the mileage being up and high, they tend to have like some ticking noise, which could be the over bucket sims that need to be adjusted. Put bigger sims in there. But yeah, so you could usually tell and hear by the ticking. Okay, now it's not a big deal. They're really easy to do, so you have to design it fairly easy. And yeah, so that's another thing. And the next thing also is these battery tie downs for the SR5 and GTS. They typically either always bad or always missing. As you can see, I'm holding mine down with zip ties. Not a efficient way to do it, but I barely have time in a mechanic. I'm a mechanic, and yeah, I just don't have time. So I'm gonna get a factory aftermarket tie down thing for it. In the meantime, it's being held by zip ties, or I'll just fabricate something else that's more safe. All right, also, I almost forgot, be sure to check out, sometimes these distributor caps and wires go bad, as well as at the bottom of the distributor there's sometimes oil. You could usually see it in this low cover for the distributor. That O-ring to the distributor usually leaks, so be sure to check it out, see if it's leaking there, and if it is, just go ahead and replace it. But be sure you look at the procedure, because when you do take out the distributor, it does throw off the timing, so be prepared. It's not you just got to be really cautious on how you do these things. All right, but other than that, that's the main thing you want to look for when it comes to ignition system. Check the spark plugs and check these wires. Might as well just replace them and the cap. All right, and sometimes also these at the bottom, these reservoirs do crack, so be sure to check it out. If it is low on fluid, make sure you fill it up and check it out if it's leaking, because it could be that it's leaking out through the bottom of the reservoir. All right, now yeah, the main mechanical issues are those kind of things. You also just want to make sure you keep up to maintenance. Right, these cars are pretty sound once you have their maintenance, all up to par. If you're just buying a GTS or SR5, make sure you do almost everything, all right? Make sure you know what's done to the car already. So, you know, some things I would recommend: do a coolant flush, make sure you do oil change on yours, make sure you do a new oil filter, air filter, check it out, make sure it's good. But make sure you just do all the nice basics. You know, maybe new water pump if you really want to go into it, but just make sure you kind of refresh all the engine and mechanical aspects of the car to make sure this thing drives and is pretty great. So these 4AGEs are really reliable, really strong, take well to abuse, and you shouldn't have too many problems unless it's just been over abused over the years, okay? But yeah, so that's something you can expect in the mechanical range of this. Also, you want to make sure you check your clutch master cylinder. If it's the pedal feels a little soft in a manual, it could be that the master cylinder is going out, or it's low on the fluid, which means it's going out either way probably. Another way you could check this is you can check over here, see if the slave cylinder is going bad. If you squeeze a boot and fluid comes out, or there's fluid, then that means it's going bad too. You could also check the clutch by putting in third gear and then trying to go at a dead stop. If the car goes, then it's a bad clutch. If it dies, then you know you have a good clutch. Another thing you guys can expect when it comes to the interior aspect of the GTS is they usually have these torn seats all the time, almost all the time. In the driver's side, they have these tears right here, and then sometimes tears in the carpet. But other than that, they're usually pretty clean. Some of them aren't as great as my dash. My dash is pretty smooth, has one little crack right here. Most of them have pretty bad cracks. And then yeah, so, and pretty worn shift knobs. Mine's almost brand new basically. But yeah, and steering wheels, this is a steering wheel out of SR5. Yours will be like a ladder steering wheel, and they usually tend to have cracked at the front. But yeah, you could always restore them regardless. So yeah, but interior is not as important as everything else, right? So yeah, but this is mainly what you want to look for in your cars. Make sure you check the suspension, tie rod ends, everything, the front struts and rear struts. The rear struts usually tend to go out. In my experience, I had them go out with my first GTS. Wasn't that fun, but yeah. So also, if you guys are looking to go aftermarket wheels, you gotta make sure that you get the right fitment, because they tend to not clear as well as in the rear, because it's just a different offset, especially when you go coilovers. But yeah, pretty much covered a lot of the small things that you guys should look for when you're trying to buy a GTS or even SR5. Like I said, there's not too many issues with these cars. They just tend to have abuse over the years. But like I said, main thing you guys want to look for: rust. Want to make sure you check the oil, make sure it didn't blow a head gasket or any of that. Usually pretty rare, but like I said, make sure as soon as you do snag one of these bad boys that you go through all the motions, do the oil changes, do the coolant, check everything else, diagnose everything, make sure this car is running perfect. All right guys, now if you like this Ae92 video and want to see more just like it, be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.